From Studio A at 1 Biloxi Square in Fort Worth, Texas, this is the Grandpa and Pappy Show. Well, welcome in, everyone, to another edition of the Grandpa and Pappy Show as we celebrate a Friday together.
Oh, happy Friday.
Absolutely. Hope your week has gone well for you. Things continue to roll on in a suspicious manner in our great country, which is another program in itself. But we're kind of excited today because we have invited our listeners to participate in the Grandpa and Pappy Show, and by George,
didn't realize somebody was going to take us up on it, did you?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Our longtime listener and good friend, Mike Mackey, is with us this morning, and we'll be talking with him this morning on some of his views and some of the things he's getting involved in, and we really do appreciate him coming on.
And before we get started, amigo, I would like to extend a heartfelt, my feelings, heartfelt, big time for the Erlinger family.
Yeah.
And those of you who don't know, Cody Erlinger, who's playing for who, Baltimore now?
No, Sam Ehlinger, who was he was
his brother,
drafted by the Colts.
Yeah.
His brother Jake was found deceased in
campus,
Austin. There's no suspicious activity involved. The cause of death has not been
He
called.
was a linebacker for Texas, right?
Yeah, he was a red shirt
20
walk-on.
22 years old.
No, he's 20.
20?
He was 20.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Sam's 22.
Oh, okay.
So,
well, I'm getting my story
anyway, a
back
very
and
close
stuff.
family, and another tragedy for that family because in 2013, Sam and Jake's father died while running a triathlon competition in San Francisco.
Didn't hear about that either. Wow.
It's a shame, and we really hate that. And I know a lot of the college football family is devastated.
Well, you being an alumni of UT.
I'm not an alumni. I just bleed burnt orange. So anyway, our condolences to the Ehlinger family.
Prayers and our hearts go out to you guys.
Yeah, and thank you for bringing that up, Pappy. But let's get to the crux of our program today. Our guest today is Mike Mackey. How you doing, man?
Morning, Mike.
Hey, good morning, guys. How are you?
If it was any better
Pleasure
with
to be here. Thank you for having me.
well, if
thank
we
you for
was any
coming
better,
aboard,
we'd get arrested.
That's
So
right. We're not doing bad for a couple old farts that's looking for something to talk about. So
there you go. Well, Mike, we have asked our listeners week after week to give us their opinions on different things going on in and around the world that affect all of us. And you've certainly given us some good opinions. And we just want to touch on a few things and really get your opinion face to face on what you think as a person, and let us know what you're talking about. And let's start right here at this point. The crisis on our southern border, Mike, is it's kind of really out of hand right now. What's your take on the current situation, and in your opinion, how can we get control of it?
Well, I think that the circumstance of letting the borders just be wide open is dangerous.
Yep.
I think that if we've got the Department of Homeland Security that is trying to guard our borders and keep people who could possibly do harm to our country out, where's the logic in opening the border and letting anybody come across that wants to? I think that it's counterproductive.
And that brings up another thing, Mike, too, with all of the pandemonium surrounding the COVID virus, none of them are being screened coming across. So if we're getting a control on it or a handle on it, especially here in Texas, which they have, Boy, that's just inviting the wolf into the sheep's den.
Yep.
Well, one of the most successful countries, and I've got some friends there, one of the most successful countries to fight this was Australia.
Yeah.
And the first thing they did was completely close the country down to anyone coming into, you could leave the country, and then once you did, you couldn't come back in.
I heard that. Actually, I did hear that.
And I've got some friends down there, and they haven't had a COVID case down there in months. Then they did have someone who came in that infected them. It was a doctor and a nurse who had been somewhere else, I believe, and they came back in, and they had a couple more cases of COVID. They found it really quick. They isolated those people. They did lock the country down one more time, but they've opened it back up again. So, they got a grip on it pretty quick, and it was all centered around exactly what you're talking about, locking the country down.
Yeah.
And keeping the border controlled. So, if we're going to hit it from a COVID angle, then there's where you are. I see it from a different angle. Right. A long-time Texas native, and being a Texas native and having had the opportunity just to walk across the border in my lifetime.
Sure.
To just go across and everything. Those days are gone. I don't want to deal with the lines anymore, personally.
Yeah. I would agree with that.
But besides that particular aspect of it, I think that it is widely known that people who are illegals come across the border, have their children here, so that the children will be a United States citizen and get the benefits of being a United States citizen that we're all paying the taxes for.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't see I have a hard time understanding why people want to give away resources to someone who is not a legitimate citizen.
I agree.
If that makes sense. Does that make sense at all?
It does.
It does make sense. But
articulating the way the point I'm trying to make here. And it seems to me that there is an undue burden on our society and our taxpayers, regardless of which aisle you sit on.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Left or right. It's still a burden that you have to pay. And it just makes no sense at all to me that people want to allow that to continue.
It's been going on forever. I mean, if you stop and think about it,
it's just worse now than it ever has been, and it's not getting any better.
Do you feel like there's an agenda attached to it, Mike?
I would hope there isn't.
Yeah.
But that being said, I want to make. I'm concerned that our vote means nothing anymore.
Yeah.
I think that there are powers that be, and I'm not trying to be a conspiracy theorist.
Right.
No.
I'm really not.
No, I understand.
Really
I understand.
But I think that the political machine on both sides of the aisle, it doesn't matter what the voters say.
Yeah.
They're going to do what they want to do.
Yeah.
You know, there are a lot of promises made during the campaigns, but they seem to forget those.
You can throw that out with the baby in the bathwater. Seriously, because it means nothing.
Yeah.
Okay? And those running for the highest office in the land on both sides make promises that can't happen because they don't control the Congress, and Congress is where the laws are written and passed.
That's right. True.
So they can say this is my agenda, but if the people who are sitting and elected from our individual districts don't decide to go that way, there's nothing that the person in the big chair can do about it.
You're right.
It's just nothing.
You're right.
And people forget that. They vote for a particular person, and they vote for that person based on their agenda,
Mm-hmm.
only to find out that that agenda it's meaningless
The big lie,
if the,
yeah.
if the Congress doesn't go along with it.
Yeah,
So
true that.
you got to understand civics first,
Yeah.
and most people don't, which is a whole nother topic altogether.
Yeah,
as to
another
where
show, yeah.
Our schools are not teaching civics and understanding the government, and if they did, then it would have an impact. And I'm not sure that there are people out there that want that impact. They like it. They like a country of sheep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Well, it's
I
easier
think-
for 'em that
I'm
way,
not
yeah.
trying to be negative or anything. I just
Yeah.
think that
Sure.
if you, and this is another step in the right direction. You were very gracious in your introduction, and you called me an entrepreneur, and thank you for that. And I have had 3 different companies that I started and then sold and moved on. Everything from computer work to mortgage training across the board.
Yeah. I think Pappy has a question for you now, too.
Well, I want to wrap up one thing here, if you don't mind.
Go for
In
it.
college, they don't teach you to be an entrepreneur.
No.
They teach you to be a worker bee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we in our society need more worker bees than we need entrepreneurs. If they taught everybody to be an entrepreneur, there wouldn't be any worker bees.
That's true.
So think about that, you know?
That's
Yeah.
true.
Okay, what you got, Pappy?
And that's a very good statement, and I agree with that. Do you see more of a freedom of speech being taken away or in jeopardy? I mean, as far as where everything's headed currently?
I think that he who yells the loudest gets the most press.
You're right.
I don't think that the majority of the people have their voice heard because it doesn't make news.
Right.
I think that a small section, and I say this, a very small section, I think that less than 1% of our population has their voice and agenda heard, while the rest of the people just sit there and shake their heads.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't matter. You know, if you're part of the mainstream, you're part of the mainstream, and that doesn't make news.
That's true.
That doesn't sell advertising, and
Doesn't
Jack
get
and I
ratings.
and the media side of it. If it bleeds, it leads, right, Jack?
That's exactly right.
That's a fact.
Okay.
Mike and I worked
So-
together several years ago, back in the mid 80s together in radio, and
Yeah.
we know each other pretty well, and you know how each other thinks pretty well, Mike. So I couldn't agree more. Now let me ask you, based on what Pappy just asked you, do you see more and more of our freedoms being taken away from us, or is it just my imagination?
I don't think it's your imagination. I feel like that, and this ties back into the previous statement. We don't stand up for those freedoms to be. We don't resist that
Yeah,
position that you're talking about.
That's correct.
We roll with it for the sake of
not making waves.
being non-confrontational.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think that we're going to see that. And I saw a thing the other day, and this is a tie-in here, that it was talking about putting masks on, and this whole COVID thing, and wearing the mask, and continuing to wear the mask and all. And it was talking about that years and years ago in the Middle East, it became understood that putting a mask on depersonalized people and made them more submissive.
Yeah.
Kind of like a slave. You know, it's kind of
Like a slave,
making
exactly.
you
and
making you a
they
slave.
muzzled them, if you will.
Yeah.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
By putting a mask on them. And I think that this continuing of the masking, and I saw a video this morning that showed world leaders around, and they had a virtual world leader summit, and everyone was sitting at this virtual summit. I mean, you and I are doing this virtually, right?
Yeah.
How many of us are wearing masks right now?
Nobody.
And yet at this virtual summit, the only person that was wearing a mask was the so-called leader of the free world from our country.
There you go.
Yeah.
Mike, our guest with us today is Mike Mackey, who is a longtime viewer of the Grandpa and Pappy show and is a frequent contributor to our opinions on questions asked. We're going to take a brief time out, and we'll be back with more of Mike after we pause for this. Stay with us.
I'm glad we saved money with that discount agent. I don't know why nobody else wanted this place.
We are back, and we're happy to have you with us. Our guest is Mike Mackey, who is a very good opinionator, should I say. And as our time is kind of slowly slipping away from us, Pappy had another question he wanted to
interject?
He wanted to chunk at you, Mike.
Just a second.
Sure.
I just want to say something about Mike. He was the greatest country western two-stepper back in the day.
I don't know about
Hey,
that.
I remember
That's
those.
what he would take me out on that dance floor and wear me out.
That's because he was probably standing on top of his boots.
No, Mike's
Mike-
not that tall.
Mike could.
He's taller than me.
He could shake it. I can tell you that the
Do
boy
some
was
boot-
good.
You could do some boot scooting, huh?
All right, Pappy, what you got?
Okay, just for example, if it could happen, what would be your feelings on Texas succeeding from the U.S.?
Well, I think, first off, there are a lot of Texans that would like to see that, just
Yeah.
for simply because our views on world events have a Texas flair to them, and we see things through a different set of rose-colored glasses, if you
Yeah.
will,
I mean, so.
most of the rest of the world. And I'll go you a step further. You know, you go anywhere and you ask someone who's not from Texas, where are you from? They're going to say, I'm from the United States. You ask a Texan where you're from, and they say, I'm from Texas.
Texas,
And
by
that's-
God.
it's
Exactly
just-
correct.
That's just the way that we feel, and we're very proud of our heritage
Absolutely.
and our nativity, if you will.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, those who are correctly informed will understand that the treaty that gave us that opportunity expired already, and we don't have that opportunity anymore.
No.
It's really a moot point.
Yeah.
Furthermore, I doubt that the Fed, in their infinite wisdom, and I use that term very loosely, they would allow anyone who had the world's largest military base in the heart of the state would allow that secession to happen without grave consequences.
Yeah, and I agree with that. That's,
Fort Hood is the world's largest military installation,
yeah.
and they're not about to let that get away from the federal government. So.
No.
Well, Mike, let me say thank you very much for sharing your opinions with us, but I want you to have an opportunity to tell us about something that's kind of got my curiosity up. You're into a field right now that a lot of people don't understand, but there are some who are extremely interested in it. And I'm talking about 3D printing, and that's what you're into right now. Why don't you share that with us in the next few minutes or so?
Sure, Jack, I'd be happy to. I became introduced to the world of 3D printing as a consumer about 4 years ago, I guess.
Okay.
I was getting ready to have knee surgery, and I knew I was going to be in a long-time rehab, and one of my hobbies is model railroading, and you wanted me to touch on that a little bit later, but I was looking at a way to print some parts for my model railroad, and
Prince and parts.
it
That's
became
crazy.
I'm sorry?
No,
Printing parts. That's
yeah,
it.
I mean, he'll explain
Yeah.
to you here in a second. Yeah.
And so some of the things that I was looking for are very, very expensive and out of production. And so that said, the only way you could find them is if you happen to find them secondhand at a train show.
Yeah.
And the cost of them would be $40 to $50 each.
Wow.
Which is ridiculously high for a load to go on a flat car, if you will. So I was looking for another solution, and 3D printing is an emerging area in that hobby. I contacted a local company that I'd been able to use their printer at a makerspace, and then was very pleased with it. Contacted them again and asked them if they were looking for someone in sales and marketing, and to my good fortune, they were, and they hired me to be in charge of sales and marketing for the company. The company is Poly Printer. They make the printers in Midlothian.
Wow.
They are a 100% American-made product.
By God.
They are not a cheap product, but after you've had the opportunity to have an initial experience with a 3D printer that you buy online and build yourself and then have to tweak and this, that, and the other, and it produces lousy prints, and you want to move something to something better, then Poly Printer becomes a very viable option for you.
Wow.
Jack, I printed something for you a while back.
Yes, you did. Let me hold this up to the camera if the camera can see it. He knows I'm a big University of Texas fan.
Hook 'em a horn.
And he printed the seal of the great University of Texas for me. Right?
I wouldn't say great, Jack. I'm an Aggie. I just printed that for you as a.
Well, I said that for a reason.
Of my appreciation and our friendship. So
I said that for a
to
reason,
great
brother.
University of Texas, it's not there.
If
okay?
that ain't respect,
It's
I'll
just
kiss you
another
back,
school,
sir.
Jack. All right.
Anyway, Mike,
That's
you know,
really
there's so
cool.
many things you can do with 3D printers. You were talking about the parts that originally got you interested in this. I'm going to ask you to break away just a minute and show us your model railroad setup that you have in your house, and then show us some of the things
Sure.
that you've made.
Sure. So if you look here, this is a view of a portion of my model railroad.
Yeah.
And as you can see, I've got my model railroad in the upstairs of my house. It's 39 feet by 19 feet. And it's
He's not lying.
a
I've seen it.
miniature-
I
A
believe it.
miniature world. And you can see it. We'll talk about that on another episode if you
Yeah.
so choose. We're getting ready to have a convention of model railroaders. The worldwide convention is coming here in 2023, in August of 2023. And we'll probably have 2,000 people from around the world coming to the
Wow.
Gaylord. I am the convention chairman for that, and we can talk about that at another time.
And
We'll have you on
where?
for that. We sure will.
You're where, in Houston?
No, he's here.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Fort Worth.
Cool.
Yeah. Now show me, Mike.
This
There it is. There it is.
This is a tank that I 3D printed, and it is so detailed here that you can see the trucks, the turret moves.
Wow.
Look at that.
Pew, pew, pew.
Okay, and this is all 3D printed.
That's
right
cool.
there. Another thing that, and you can see the detail on there,
Yes, you can.
but it came off like that. Now, another item that I'll show you is this is a building that was 3D printed, and everything on
Wow,
this
that's crazy.
black foam
Isn't it
board
great?
has been 3D printed. The pallets, the barrels, the entire building.
That's amazing.
Now, obviously, it's been painted and weathered, and
Yeah.
I did that, but
Sure.
but you can see that you see the pallets right here. But this whole thing was 3D printed, and so I firmly believe, Jack, and I mentioned this to you previously, that there's a time when you and I both remember in our background when not every house had a microwave oven.
That's true.
But now you wouldn't consider having a house that didn't have a microwave oven in the kitchen. It's just that simple, right?
True.
Yeah.
I firmly believe that there will be a day when every house has a 3D printer in it, just exactly like we have microwaves now. Let me give you an example.
Okay, right quickly, Mike.
Okay? If you've got a thingamajig that breaks its what's-it, you call up the thingamajig company and you say, I need a what's-it. They say, do you have a 3D printer? Yes, I do. I'm gonna give you my credit card. They take your credit card. They give you access to a file on their website. You download it. You can print 3 what's-its.
Wow.
Now you've got immediate delivery. They've got no warehousing, no packaging, no shipping costs, no clerk that is doing the shipping or having to pull the part. And you've got instantaneous delivery on 3 of them when you only needed 1.
Yeah.
And everybody walks away happy.
Well, there you go.
Plus you can do it sitting at home in your drawers.
Yeah, you can do it sitting home in your drawers.
One thing, Mike, one thing that really amazed me, the first time I ever heard of 3D printing, there was an article I read somewhere online about a dude in Florida that built a freaking castle with a 3D printer.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with this guy? I'm not talking.
Boston, of all places, Jack, that's building homes and they're 3D printing them, and he's got this monstrous 3D printer in a warehouse down there, and he's printing wall sections in 3D printing.
Wow,
and
that's
then
amazing.
take them out and erecting the house. So
the dude built a castle, man.
We want to thank you, Mike, for taking time out of your
very interesting
your day to visit with us, share your opinions and the 3D.
Thanks for having me.
And we'll do another program on your model railroading and a little bit more on the 3D coming up. But
it's so good to have you as a part of the Grandpa and Pappy Show.
Absolutely. Mike, thank you very much for joining us. Hope to talk to you again very soon, sir.
Thanks, Jack.
All
Have
right.
a good one.
Take
Bye-bye.
care,
All right,
brother.
you too. Bye-bye. That's Mike Mackey, who joined us today. Right quickly, let's take a look at our...
Interesting guy.
He is a very
really
interesting,
is.
very smart guy. In our viewer comments that we received this week, Margaret Reese wrote in again to thank us for reading her opinion on the show. She said, I would like to see you guys do a show on women's rights in America. That's not a bad topic.
Yeah, it would be.
Okay.
Susan Saunders commented on her show about where our country is headed. She said, at 16, I knew our world as we knew it was going away. Here it is 32 years later, and guess what? I was right.
I know. I know. Matt Sinclair told us our show on the George Floyd verdict was interesting. The officer got what he deserved, but he also has a strong footing to ask for a new trial.
Yes, he does.
Maybe the jury should be totally isolated this time, though.
Well,
That's a good point.
and I'm thinking the old boy that was wearing a BLM shirt
Yeah.
kind of opened the door for that.
Yeah, really.
Maria Aguilar, in closing viewer comments on today's show, said that she really enjoyed the show about the 70s. She said back then we all seemed to get along with each other as opposed to now,
Yep.
where you have to pick up a side.
Yeah.
Yes, I miss the 70s. And
Yes, we
Maria,
do.
I do too.
Hey, it's been fun today, and if you would like to join us on the Grandpa and Pappy Show
Just like
and
Mike
share
did,
your
yeah.
views, just like Mike Mackey, it's very simple. All you have to do is to go to our email site, grandpaandpappy@gmail.com,
Yeah.
or
Or you can simply hit us up by going to our show website page at www.grandpa and the letter N pappy.com. It's grandpaandpappy.com, where you'll see a big red button, subscribe. We are numbers driven and we love having you aboard.
we
So,
sure do. Or you can go onto our Facebook group page where you'll see a lot of our questions and a lot of the opinions before they make the air.
Yeah, and getting back to the invitation to be on the show, you'll need either a iPad or a computer, laptop or a desktop.
That's got a
computer.
camera in it.
Yeah,
And we'll bring you in right from the comfort
that's right.
of your own home.
That's a fact.
So anyway, it's been a lot of fun today. Again, thank you, Mike Mackey, for joining us. What a delightful fella he really
Yeah, he
is.
is.
And Grandpa and Pappy Show really appreciate him taking time out to visit with us.
He's a busy boy.
Until we see you again, and we hope you have a great weekend. But we always end every show by, and we really mean this, reach out. Grab a hold of your kids, hug them, and tell them you love them.
Tell them we love them right here at the Grandpa and Pappy Show, too. By God, amigo.
Yes, sir.
Take care of one another.
Until we see you again on Monday, have a great weekend. Take care of one another. God bless you. God bless America. And we'll see you then.
Have a great weekend, everybody.
Bye-bye.